Thanks for joining us for another episode of Already Won, a Sports Friends podcast. Each week, Coach Ben and Coach Kyle share their insights, interview special guests, present teachable moments, and offer some extra words of wisdom. The victory is ours, because we've already won.
Hello and welcome to Already Won, a Sports Friends podcast. As always, I'm your host, Ben Wildman, going by the name of the Wildcat, and I'm here with Kyle Apps, who's going with the name Mad Doggy Dog. How you doing, Kyle?
I'm doing well. Still working in the remote location, a secret location, as I get my setup fixed up again. So, yeah, good to be here.
Hey, Kyle, whatever you do not quit. Even if you're in your secret location, do not quit, because we have the victory. And remember, guys, that this podcast shares how a Christian can use sports as a great tool in this victory. No matter if you're a player, coach, or fan, every week we hope to bring you relevant topics, not so relevant if we're talking about money pot or things like that, but great guests and, of course, teachable moments. So thank you guys so much for joining us. And don't forget to tell your friends, your parents, friends, all your friends that we already won. Come on. Don't forget it, Kyle.
That's some good advice. That's some good advice. Almost as good as App's awesome anecdotes. You're getting there. There's hope for you yet.
Catching on. Kyle, what are you enjoying at the minute then in the world of sport?
Well, hey, bro, playoffs are coming up. Playoffs are starting soon. We'll see what happens. You got the play-in format, whatever. So, it's who knows who's going to win? Who knows who's going to win? I don't. Do you?
I don't know. It's tough.
But we do know who's not going to win.
I'm not going to say that again. I got so much flack for saying that about some Charlotte-based team.
In Charlotte?
No. Hey, Bob, they've got Charlotte. They've got new owners next year. Come on. Believe it. No. I love the playoffs because it's best of 7. I mean, I quite like that format. People in England will probably think that's a crazy format, but I like it. And not anyone can win. The best team definitely will win, because you have to win. Bucks and 6, as you always say. Yeah, for me, I love the Masters coming up on the 11th, I think, if we're not mistaken. That's in Georgia, and always good fun to watch the Masters. I always used to watch it with my dad. We used to stay up and watch it. And there was one year when Tiger Woods won it, and we were on holiday, and there was some bad weather. And it came up on our phone, BBC Sport or Sky Sports, that Tiger Woods won the Masters. And you know what my dad said? Fake news. He said, he said fake news. This is fake news. Even though it was BBC and Sky Sports, he said, no, it's fake news, because it finishes later, you see, Sunday evening. I had to tell him, look, no, it's true. Tiger has won it. It's true, And look, Kyle, some people maybe around the world maybe think, how can this news that we share about being already won, about Jesus winning, people would say, hey, we need to see more evidence for it. And, we are the people that tell people that, hey, because of his victory on the cross, we already won. This is not fake news. Isn't that right, Kyle?
Not fake news. I mean, I think you said it early on that, you're in the stadium, you already know the results, or you're watching TV, you already know the results. Still makes it an exciting game. You still have a role to play as a fan, maybe not as a player, but we know who's going to win.
Still have a role to play. Love that. Well, this week we're bringing in a guest who certainly is playing his role in the world of sports ministry. Martin Bateman, we've got coming in from Ambassadors Football. And this guy has got a wealth of experience, a wealth of knowledge, just like you, Kyle. And hopefully together we're going to hear more about him and hear more about his experiences and what he's currently doing as he heads up this incredible ministry. So looking forward to bringing in Martin Bateman, who's going to join us on the Already Won podcast.
Does he speak a foreign language as well, or am I going to be able to understand him?
You'll understand this. He's very well-spoken English, well-spoken English, much better than me. You'll definitely
understand. Not like those Geordies from last week. Okay, all
right. Normal service is partly resumed.
We may be number one. We may be the number one podcast in Newcastle, so who knows? Apologies.
I doubt language. That. That's our goal, Carl. That's our goal.
We're gonna put out on all the bridges, all the banners, and that'll be the new sponsor for Newcastle. It'll be Already Won.
That will be the day. That will be the day. I believe in miracles. All right, let's bring in Martin, who's live with us now on Already Won.
Good afternoon. Good morning.
Hey, Martin. Good. Good.
Morning,
the note about books behind you. Kyle has let the side down yet again.
Yeah. I've got my Silver Jubilee mug that I got when I was at primary school from the Queen's Silver Jubilee, 1977. There you go. Not allowed to keep souvenirs like this at home. So yeah.
Hey,
Wait,
Does he
have any letters after his name as well? Do we have to stand up and play some music? Is there an MVE or
the official? That's the one everybody likes. I'm not sure about the rest of the royal family. Everyone likes the Queen.
Especially our American listeners. Honestly, our American listeners, they think we're obsessed with the royal family. But I know they like the royal family, right, Kyle? There's a big following around. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I think King Charles likes Cheerios, doesn't he? I have no idea. Don't take any of this as being literally the truth. So anyway.
Heard it here first on Already Won.
Thank you. Exactly.
King Charles likes Cheerios.
We can't wait for more facts on King Charles as this goes on.
We're looking for sponsors as well. So yeah, Cheerios would be good.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, the other breakfast cereal is available. Yeah.
No, that's brilliant. Well, Martin, it's fantastic to have you here. You want to share a little bit around, first of all, the phrase "already won." What does that mean for you as someone who's been involved in sports ministry for a long time? When that phrase comes to mind, what do you think of when you hear "already won"?
I was just thinking about this in the last few minutes, actually, and a person that I've looked up to just because of his teaching and his career is John Wooden, who listeners will know about probably if you've got anything to do with sport and ministry and basketball in particular, which is nothing that I've ever had anything to do with basketball. But John, it depends. If you're thinking you already won, what's your definition of success? And often winning and losing is the definition that you get from success. You know, oh, I've won this, I haven't won this, I've lost or won. But for me, I think in the Christian context as well, we've got to look at the context of Jesus and his life, death, and resurrection means that what we're striving to do to have peace in our lives, to know joy, to know God in some ways, if he exists, if he's out there, then he has achieved a victory over death that we cannot achieve. So we've won it already. And then when it comes to sport, you can look at the scoreline, and the scoreline doesn't always reflect the success of the people who are involved in that game. And so Coach Wooden said, you know, success is the self-satisfaction that you get of knowing that you've given your all to the best of your ability. And in that way, I think you can have success without actually winning on the scoreline. And so when I think about the phrase, what's already won, I know it in a Christian context for my own life. I can't do anything more so that God loves me more. I can't do anything that's going to make him love me less. That's already complete. It was completed from creation through Jesus, through the death and resurrection. Accepting that what he's done for me means that I've won effectively in life. It can give a freedom then to express yourself, I guess, as it can in sport. You know, people get worried about, I haven't yet won. I haven't got to the finish. I'm not there. And I think that's what Coach Wooden did. The most successful. He won more games than anybody else, won more championships than anybody else in American basketball, in college basketball. But his principles were actually the scoreline's not going to matter. So you get to express yourself. So if you think that you've already won, then it gives you an ability to be confident in what you're doing in your life or in sport.
Yeah, no, that's great because, I mean, Wooden, obviously basketball American, it affected many generations. So from the players who wanted to be professional, who wanted to be coaches. So I think it's a great thing because you've got those examples and those stories and those words in their lives, and they continue to do that. So that's great. So where are you based now, Martin? And more importantly, on the winning aspect, what's the team you support?
Right. Well, I've got a ready-made excuse so that I don't have to tell you which football team I grew up supporting. I live in the sunny seaside resort, it has been called in the past, of Morecambe, which is in the northwest of England. At the moment, most famous probably because one of our local residents is the heavyweight champion of the world, Tyson Fury, but he doesn't hang around here too much. But sometimes we see him walking along the promenade. But this was a Victorian holiday resort, and for some reason, people like guaranteed sunshine. Don't know why when they go on holiday. So people don't come here as often for their holidays, but I live in the northwest of England. It's about 1 hour north of Manchester, for those that know any geography of Britain. And my football team, I'm the chaplain actually in my spare time at Morecambe Football Club. So that's under Sports Chaplaincy UK, great organisation that's supporting chaplaincy, Christian chaplaincy and professional and amateur sports organisations all over Britain and supports groups around the world. And I grew up in Manchester, and for rightly or wrongly, I grew up during the dark ages of Manchester United losing everything, and then they won everything for a bit, and now they're losing again. So, you know.
It's okay. I feel the sympathy. I empathize with you. I am part of that struggle since 1992 when an English and Irishman came over and introduced me to it. So,
yes, yeah, it's the joys and trauma of life in football.
It's your Christianity being explained in real life, you know.
Oh, absolutely. Patience, the gifts of the Spirit need to be very evident if you're a football fan, especially a United fan at the moment. This week in particular. No, anyway.
Yeah,
Liverpool win.
Yeah, we could easily talk about stories around that, because next week we have got Pastor Warren coming in, who's in charge of Sports Chaplaincy UK. So we're looking forward to that. But our organisation, Sports Friends, is part of a mission organisation called SIM, stands for Serving in Mission. And it's an amalgamation of loads of different mission organisations. But you've had some experience with your different mission organisation, Mark. Before we dive into your role as director for Great Britain with ambassadors, tell us a little bit about your experience with OM.
Sure. Operation Mobilization is a missionary fellowship started in about 1957 by a chap from New Jersey, loudmouth American, he would call himself. I'm not giving him that title, George Verwer. And he went with a group of young people from Chicago at the time down to Mexico with a few trucks of Bibles and Christian books and started the first Christian bookshop in Mexico. Over the years since 57, they began to work with young people from all over the world, looking to take good news to the less reached people of the world. So I got involved as a teenager and went to Austria on a summer program with them in the 1980s. And I realized that even outside of my own country and culture, I could be of some use. I could share something of my faith story and people were interested. So through university, when I was at university, I wanted to see what I could do. So after university, I joined OM for 2 years just to test out if I should go out overseas and serve the Lord in that way. And if I didn't, I thought I could come back. I did an engineering degree so I could settle down and be back based in England. But I then spent 20 years with OM. And I was first involved in North Africa and southern Spain, organizing summer programs to go there. And during my time with OM, there was a need to start up sport and ministry inside the organization. So working in over 100 countries, about 4,000 people worldwide, but nobody really worked through the vehicle of sport as a bridge into communities. They did it sometimes, but not too much. So I ended up with the responsibility to try and see if we could start something that wasn't around. And somehow, yeah, God helped a lot to be able to set something up that would help sport to be a vehicle inside of OM to communicate good news to people that had never heard about Jesus before. So Sports Link, as it's known, the ministry within OM was started in about 1996 and still going strong with some great, strong leadership now. Should get him on the podcast, actually. I'll send you the details later. Chris Wellman, good man.
So what is your role now with the Ambassadors Football and the history of Ambassadors and all that good stuff?
So Ambassadors has been around for over 30 years, first with a group, funnily enough, of former colleagues of yours, were part of the initial Missionary Athletes International, I think it was known as, MAI, sent a group. I always feel like God must have been involved because Bolton in the northwest of England is not well known for beautiful weather and other aspects of that. It's quite close to where I was born. I've got a reason to be able to say that. You know, I'm not just putting it down for no reason. But these guys from California moved from California to Bolton, England, to try and share their faith through football, soccer. And you compare the two, surf, sunshine, industrial northwest of England. God must have been involved. And not only that, the Americans were trying to teach the English how to play football. So somehow something happened. They were invited into work with churches, into prisons to do ministry there and schools. And around the world, then they went on tours and people saw what they were doing, sharing faith through football. and said, well, we could do that here, maybe in the Czech Republic or in South Africa or Spain. And so now there's an international network of football ministry called Ambassadors Football, and in about 35 countries around the world. So I got involved. I knew about them from my time in OM because we partnered together in a few activities, taking a professional side to Central Asia and working with them in Latin America. So in 2010, I was invited to work on their international team to help develop some partnerships internationally. And in 2015, I was asked if I'd consider becoming the British director, which I said yes, and felt like it was the right place to be. So I'm the British director of the national work of Ambassadors Football in the UK.
So good. I think Carl would know Bolton because JJ Kocher put it on the map. So Carl lived in Nigeria. So he knows Bolton. But no, that definitely has got God, it's his thumbprints all over that story. And we love that because our Sports Friends founder was the founder of MAI, and just that link there between everything. I mean, incredible. We had Brian Davidson on there. So, hearing about how that's impacted, all that stuff you just shared is truly remarkable and is only God. But Martin, why don't you tell us a little bit about Ambassadors now then? Tell us a little bit about what you guys do. I know at the bottom the website is there. For those who are listening audibly, tell us about the website, how they can go and find out about Ambassadors, and then tell us a bit of an overview about some of the things that you guys currently do.
Yeah, sure. Well, we have a vision to be able to bring people to know Jesus and then for them to disciple others and do that through the ministry through football, the vehicle of football. And in Britain, it's expressing itself really through us supporting and equipping the local church to reach out to their local community, to serve them through football. So that looks like in practice, training in community football outreach. That's what we call the main training program that we do. So we bring churches on a journey with us. If they're interested in serving the local community, they might have nothing to do with football at all, or they're interested in a little bit about that, but they do something. Maybe they have a team that plays locally or just in recreationally on a weekly basis. And we say, how can you make that a vehicle to be able to share faith or draw people into church? So we have a first leg and a second leg. It's like a European football tie where we present the information about football ministry. And then we say, if you're interested, come join us for the second leg on Zoom. We will be able to walk you through what it might look like to start a football activity on a weekly basis. And then we say we can come alongside you in a kickoff phase to set things up for 6 weeks where we're running the program alongside you and then handing over to local leadership. And then we mentor and train people over a year to be able to run a football program. So that could be, for example, we've got walking football from a local church in Lancashire, and they've set that up really well, especially that's for the over 55s and even older into old age, but activity for older folk, and then sharing faith on a weekly basis, or kids programs, or it could be a men's weekly activity. And so we've got staff that help that to happen, and they're based from Glasgow in Scotland down to London, a few places in the Midlands. And just 12 months ago, we set up the Cardiff office in Wales. So that's it's exciting to see things develop, but we aim to do that. And then we serve the community as well by hosting tournaments. So we run the London Churches Football Tournament, which is in the springtime. And that's for any churches and age groups. We've got a women's tournament, a men's, a walking football tournament, and a kids tournament. And then they're being replicated in different ways, but very similar format in Sheffield, Nottingham, and Manchester this year, we hope, and possibly Cardiff as well. And then for the last 20 years, Christians in Football started the National Christian Football Festival in the 1990s. And then we helped to serve by running it from about 20 years ago. And that's an annual football festival over a weekend where teams can come from all over the country. They play football. At lunchtime, they play a lot of football, a lot of games and group matches and then finals, but they hear about the message of the gospel through the lunchtime activities and somebody sharing. And then in the evening, you've got a chance to be together with your team, but also doing a Christians in Sport quiz, and also chances for those believers on the team to share with those that might not know Jesus yet or be closer. those further on in the journey, and people to understand more about faith through the football activities. They're the main ways. We also run camps as well, which is something similar for lots of Christian ministries.
So are there any stories, any teachable moments from any of your outreach with the community football or the holiday camps or the tournaments, or anything that you want to share?
We just had a meeting earlier today, actually, where one of our staff members who's been around for 20 years or so now was just sharing there's a church in inner city London that we helped to set up with a weekly program probably 8 years ago or so. And their youth minister at the time, he's been on our courses and shared that he would say, if you want to start a youth group in your church, what you need to do is start a football program for 7 to 10-year-olds now, and you will have a youth group in about 5 years' time, because that's what he saw through the church program that they started. And just recently we've heard just an encouraging story that they started, and they went along to the local park where they were playing, and there were about 3 volunteers and 2 kids. And then the next week there were about 2 kids, and then the next week 1 or 2, 3 kids. And it was slow progress, but they kept going. The kids loved to come along, and they then invited their friends, and now they have 2 groups regularly playing on a weekly basis, and they've been doing that for years now. But one of the guys that was the first kid to come along is now a youth leader in the church, and just recently got baptized as a result of the long-term investment that could be made through a football activity like that. And that's just a real encouragement for me to know that if you're helping a church to do its stuff, the church needs to do its job. You know, that's what we're called to do as Christians, to share our faith and disciple people. But the vehicle of football can provide that. So that was a real encouragement. This summer we've had camps, just in 2023, more camps than ever, with about over 700 kids attending, and we've seen many different ways in which the message that we have, where we coach football and share the gospel through the Bible passages, has really caused kids to respond. And over 70% of the kids that attend don't normally come to church. So it's just an easy way for churches to say, wow, there are kids, there's a community all around us. If we present something and offer them something that's football related, they'll come along, and then we get a chance to be able to share with them and show them that we care, and they can come into that church community.
So good, those stories. I've read some of those testimonies, because I used to work with the guy who runs the camps that you've got, and they're just amazing. The church so grateful. They're amazed at how many young people come, to these camps and stuff. So for those that are listening, how can they get involved? You mentioned the CFO stuff. You mentioned tours. You've mentioned some of the tournaments in different places. I hope there's no away goals on those 2 legs, by the way. I was going to say, hope there's no away goals.
It only takes it so far, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, how can people get involved then, churches and stuff? How can people get involved listening in different ways with those amazing things that you've shared?
Yeah, I think visiting the website, and then there are ways it shows to get involved there, especially getting our news regularly. We send out a monthly newsletter that gives an overview of what we do, interviews one of our staff members, and looks into the opportunities. There's a tour coming up in September. Every year we take a group of lads to Spain. There are other opportunities that you can find out about through looking at the website, and then obviously receiving our news. There are camps coming up this summer, and Rob, who's our mutual friend who's been organising them, would like to hear from people. So you can send me an email, and I can direct you to the right person. That's for the camps. The tournaments are still looking for teams to join, and they're listed on the website as well. But signing up for our news is a good way to get that. And then the last thing for weekly football outreach, the community football outreach, first legs, we have them at various times of the year, normally when there's a need and there's a few people that are interested. But we've got some dates that are coming up which are listed on the website, but also you can send an email to find out more, because that first leg is not like you're signing up to do it for sure. You're just listening to hear from experiences from other churches. What's it like? Could it work for us? And then as a result of being on that 1-hour Zoom call, you can follow up and get more information. So that's probably we love to have people praying. We like to pray ourselves, but get people to get our news. Informed prayer can really help support and fire up our ministry that we're doing. So yeah.
Great. So the next 5 years, what do you think Ambassadors football? Where do you want it to be in 5 years?
Um, it's interesting when you think about it, because if you look back 5 years, life changes. One sure thing in life is that, change will always be with us. And I want us to be faithful, really, as an organization to what God's called us to do. We believe internationally in the power of God's word to work through through the local church. And so I don't see that we necessarily need to have a lot of people working with ambassadors, but that'd be great. If we can get more staff, people that have got experience in football and ministry, but have a heart for people to train others up. But if we can see churches mobilized and the multiplication process happen through training up churches, then that will be, again, we can already won. That will be success for me, to see the people that come into contact with ambassadors, they think this is of benefit for me. I'm feeling I'm in a better place than I was when I first met them. Would be that as a volunteer or a church that's experienced a tour or a tournament, or I've had the training, or the staff that come alongside us. And I don't see, in OM, George Verwer used to talk about this a lot, that, for some reason, God has created all of these different ways in which denominations exist, and there are expressions of God's love in so many different ways. And there's so much scope for sport and ministry. Ambassadors does its bit with football and ministry, but there are so many other organizations like Sim International, Sports Friends, that complement what we do. We can work together better with other organizations in the next 5 years. We can see a more effective sharing of God's good news through football and through churches.
So good. So good. Well, we're excited to follow the journey and continue to, like you say, work in collaboration together. One of the things I love on a Friday every week is something called Talk Football. Tell us a little bit about that. I love reading that on a Friday. And yeah, tell us about that, how people can subscribe to that, because I definitely recommend that.
Great. Yeah, that's on the website as well, with the contact form that you've got there. You can sign up for Talk Football. And every Friday, a different person from around the world, actually, who's had experience in football and ministry, writes something that's relevant to do with something that's in the news that week to do with football. So the decisions of people to terminate their contracts with Roy Hodgson or Jurgen Klopp and others, that was one of the news items that was highlighted, and then relates that to the Bible and to Christian faith. So there's so many ways in which football reflects life or can be related to a faith journey, and so that's what we do. So it's written out no more than one page of A4, really, or one page of piece of paper on a PDF, and it's in an email format, and you can just get it on your phone. And if you're training a group of kids, you can just read the questions that are listed on Talk Football, and it generates questions. There's often a quite pertinent question. Wayne Rooney became the best top goal scorer for England. Is he the best goal scorer England's ever had? Yes. Well, that's because you're a United fan. No, that's because you are a Liverpool fan. Well, okay, it creates discussion, and then you relate it going on in the conversation to items of faith. So that's just one way we try to serve and give resources that can help the church and help anybody, really. So worldwide, about 500 people get that, I think, on a weekly basis, and we're happy for more to subscribe. It's true. We'd love to be a vehicle where people think, if you're linking football and faith, ambassadors know about this stuff. We might not have all the answers, but we can direct you to the right place. And so Rob has asked me to remind you that we've got our Faith in Football conference as well. So should I just mention that too?
Yes, please do. Please do.
At the first one ever last year, I always felt like we should be a resource for people, churches, organizations, to say a one-stop shop. If you're interested in football and faith, ambassadors should know about it. So I said, well, why don't we host a day where we get folks together who are interested in this stuff? So groups like yourselves and Kick UK, we're invited, Christians in Sport, Sports Chaplaincy. We gathered practitioners together, and then just folk that could come along and were interested from different churches. And so we got about 24 people last year, but we're hosting it again. Everybody that was there last year said it was really good value, good information that we could share, and you could share with like-minded people what you're doing with football and ministry. So we're going to have that again in Nottingham. The venue is just being confirmed this month, but we are going to have it more centrally to the Midlands and welcome people from 10 till 4, more or less, for a day on June the 15th in Nottingham to have a day where you link football and faith. Already signed up is Bishop Tony Porter to be one of our keynote speakers. He's one of the former chaplain of Manchester City, and was the first sports bishop officially appointed in the Church of England. So we're pleased to have him along. We'll have other keynote speakers and workshops linked to women's football or weekly football outreaches or how to set up your own football club in your church.
So good. I worked under Bishop Tony in Nottingham, so definitely recommend going there. And he's got some great stories from his time at Manchester City and just in ministry in general. If you want to sit under and listen to someone who's had experience, I mean, the Bishop Tony Porter is definitely someone to go along and listen to. But Martin, you are someone who's also had a wealth of experience and got a lot of knowledge as well around sports ministry. So if you could pass on to our listeners who are in the US and the UK and around the world, what one bit of nugget of advice or wisdom would you pass on to those listening?
It has to be a golden nugget. Ben wants a golden nugget.
Right. Are we back to breakfast cereal again? Anyway, oh no, that's something else.
Can be.
I don't want to sound too corny, but in the words of that famous Greek god Nike, just do it. No, I think we can overcomplicate sport and ministry always. When I first went to North Africa, we needed to meet people, and we went to coffee shops. We sat down, we chatted to people. One day we went to the beach. It was about October time, and there were hundreds of lads playing football. So me and these three other guys that were all relatively young blokes, we said, "Oh, we better go and play football with them." So we played football for an hour. We became friends. We just got to know people. Oh, what are you doing now? Let's go and have a drink over there. Let's have a chat. It wasn't complicated. I think sometimes we can overcomplicate things, especially if we're in a more developed country, because you need to have the right equipment. You've got to do the right thing in the right way. Now, if you're doing a church ministry, you need to make sure that you've sorted out the health and safety and the safeguarding and all stuff like that. But actually, in essence, sport and ministry is taking a ball or some type of sports equipment, making friends, and just being able to create gospel opportunities through playing simple games together. People love to play, kids love to play, create those opportunities, and just get out and do it. And then you can work on refining what you've done. If you try something, you might make mistakes. That's okay, because you'll learn, and you can see, and things can develop.
That's pretty golden, Ben. Do you agree? Do you accept that?
I agree. I accept it. I like the cereal chat at the beginning, but I love that even more.
Well, I appreciate you, Martin, taking the time. You got a lot going on and a lot coming up, so we'll continue to pray and lift up the ministry and just follow you as we go forward. And hopefully people will reach out, catch you on the website with some emails and questions, and get involved as you can with Ambassador Football.
Yeah, thanks for this opportunity. It's just been an honor, and I really like the format and the concept, and sounds like you've got some better guests coming up. So yeah, keep listening, folks. Come back again, because it can only get better.
No, you've been a great guest, Martin. Honestly, you put Bolton on the map, even as much as JJ Kocher did. So yeah, no, appreciate your time, and looking forward to staying in touch.
Thank you.
All right. Well, before we get to awesome anecdotes, Wildman's weekly words. Let's share a teachable moment from one of our coaches, one of our leaders, one of our directors of sports friends in Malawi, Bostons.
My name is Foster Sintolo from Malawi, and I am a team leader. There is this time whereby we had a residential camp in the eastern region of Malawi, and some of our young people, they had these phones that they use. So we went to the field for practicals, and while we were there, when coming back, 3 of their phones, they were missing, and we were kind of wondering who took the phones. And we were even asking everyone, and everyone was saying no. And we said, let us even go into searching in the pockets or bags of these people to see where or who took the phones. So we do all this stuff trying, but we couldn't even find a phone. Then one lady who was helping with cooking, saw a young man from the village, nearby community, entering into that building and was kind of like suspecting him. And she told us to say, I saw a young boy. How much was she? I mean, he could be the one. Then we tried to trace this young boy, and we even get to his home. And in the very first place when we mentioned this, he was denying, and even also the people there, they were kind of like defending him. Then his friend was the one saying, yes, I saw him too with that phone. Then we kind of like bombarding him with questions. Then he ended up saying, yes, I'm the one who took the phones, all the 3 phones. Then it was like an embarrassment to his family because they couldn't even believe that he can do that. Then we went back, and the family and him bring the phones, and our coordinators sit down with them. They were so nice to them, and they talk, and they kind of like trying to assist this young boy, praying with this boy, but also praying with this family. And this family, by the end of the day, they end up coming and saying, we want to apologize for our attitude and the way how you treat us. You treat us kindly, and we had no idea that our son can do this. He really embarrassed us, but our coordinators helped the family not to do anything harm to the boy or beat him, but kind of love him and starting from there teaching him. So the boy was still coming, and we are like with him, helping him, and from that bad attitude, he changed after some times, because we had also some follow-up with the people there. So he changed, and his family were kind of like happy to say, we did a good thing, and we helped this young boy coming out of that kind of behavior, which his parents couldn't even know, like, he's of that kind.
That was great. What do you think of that, Coach Ben?
Well, hey, Foster's a great guy. There's a lot of teachable moments from Malawi. There's over 1,000 coaches that Foster's and his team have trained over in Malawi. And there's, lots of stories you could share from that. But great teachable moment from a real-life example that happened in one of our sports friends' fields. Yeah. So great. Now let's finish with WWW, and then we're out of here.
What? What? There's so much. You don't see all the email and the social media that I'm getting. I mean, people all voted for AAA.
I'm sorry. If they want that, they're gonna have to direct. You're gonna have to direct message the Mad Dog to get more of that. That's what it is. If people want it, that's what they're gonna get. Well, look, Martin mentioned John Wooden. I cannot go without saying a quote from John Wooden. We have got this. It's a little bit long, but I think it's brilliant. No written word nor spoken plea can teach our youth what they should be, nor all the books on the shelves. It's what the teachers are themselves. You might have to re-listen to that, because I tell you, it's basically saying it's what the teacher is themselves that they're bringing. It's not about the words or the books on the shelf. It's about who the teacher is themselves. You like it? They've been a walking, talking Bible, being a living testimony, a living stone that shares and points to Christ. And I think that's what all our sports friends coaches are. And I think that's what Martin Bateman is doing with ambassadors, and they're training many people, many churches to try and share the good news of Jesus Christ. And that's who they fundamentally are. They've been changed and transformed by the victory that Christ has achieved for them, and they've already won. And that is what affects and changes them all the time. So that is not WWW. That is some Wooden's weekly wisdom.
Ooh. Anyways, tell your friends, tell your friends' friends, tell your parents, tell your parents' friends, just tell everyone to watch Already Won. Thanks again for joining us on Already Won, a Sports Friends podcast. Please like, share, and subscribe on your favorite streaming platform.